the Cover in Sports Network.
NFL Nation, how you doing? Come on in. It's your boy Dolph Jackson of the Come On In Sports Network. I'd like to welcome everybody to Come On In NFL, the final score. Well, family, week 17 is officially in the book, and now we turn our attention into the final week of the regular season. The playoff scenario is simple in both conferences. There is one, I repeat, one spot remaining in each conference. Who would claim that final spot? Let's take a look at the current and up-to-date playoff scenario heading into Week 18. So as we head into Week 18, family, let's go here. This is the playoff picture here that we are looking at here heading into Week 18, family. In the AFC, the Chiefs have clinched the number 1 seed once again with a 15-1 record. The Buffalo Bills are currently the number 2 seed at 13-3, followed by the Baltimore Ravens, who currently the number 3 seed with an 11-5 mark and first in the AFC North, followed by the Houston Texans, who are limping into the playoff. Right now, if there's a team that is vulnerable in the playoff, I will have to say that it will be the Houston Texans. The Texans have to right the ship, and they have to right it fast because the playoffs start next week. Number 5 seed right now is the Pittsburgh Steelers with a 10-6 record. Simply put, for the Steelers, win and you're in. The number 6 seed is those Los Angeles Chargers, baby. That's right, for the second time in 3 years. The Chargers are in the playoffs, and once again, shout out to Coach Jim Harbaugh. In his first season, he leads the Chargers to the playoffs. None of us, and I repeat, you heard me say it all last week, I'm going to say it again. None of us predicted that the Chargers would be in the playoffs in Jim Harbaugh's first year. And they currently are sitting at 10-6 with an opportunity to finish the regular season with 11 wins. None of us saw that. None of us. Now, here's the key thing. Who gets that last spot? Will it be the Broncos? Will it be the Steelers? Or the Dolphins are lurking and the Bengals are lurking? Bengals and Steelers will have something to say because this week they go head to head. Can Pittsburgh right their ship? For over a month, Pittsburgh was in charge of their own destiny. And then they had a slip-up or two. And now they find themselves having to fight and scratch and claw to hang on to make the AFC playoffs. The Cincinnati Bengals, a team this year that quite frankly has not been good on defense, has a quarterback in Joe Burrow who is playing out of his mind just to keep this team competitive. He has arguably, if not the top wide receiver core, one of the top wide receiver cores in the national in the National Football League, in Higgins and Chase. And don't forget about the often forgotten, once forgotten, Mike Gesicki at tight end. The Bengals and Steelers this week, NFC North, who will punch their ticket to the playoffs? Or would it be the Broncos? Just like the Chargers, no one expected the Broncos and Coach Sean Payton's second season with a rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, to be any good or to be in this position that they're in. They missed their opportunity last week. Can they capitalize this week? Can they get the win, but also get some help to make the playoffs? Now, on the NFC side, it's quite simple. Everything is right now settled except one thing. who's that number 4 seed. And the number 4 seed will come down to the champion of the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the New Orleans Saints this Sunday, while the Atlanta Falcons take on the Carolina Panthers. Here's my scenario, family. Both teams will win, and thus, for the 4 consecutive years, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will win the NFC South, and rightly so, because they're the best team in the NFC South. Baker Mayfield has been revived, baby. He has been reborn since going to Tampa Bay. Baker threw 5 of them things. As Carlos said, he threw 5 tutties last week. That's right. Baker was out there baking a baker's dozen, baby. He was out there slinging that thing. As for the Falcons, they benched Kirk Cousins. They went to young Michael Penix Jr. They lost a heartbreaker on Sunday Night Football, unable to close the door. Now, their hope of making the playoffs is simple. First, take care of business in Carolina, but then they have to become fans and cheer for their most hated rival. That's right, the guys in the Bayou. They will have to cheer for the New Orleans Saints to come through and upset the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How fitting would it be for the Saints to get the Falcons and Falcon Nation right there on the cusp of excitement, only to lose that game Sunday and allow the Buccaneers to go to the playoffs? Well, we will see. Simply put, Bucks, Falcons, they both had the opportunity to seize control of this division, and did not. Now it comes down to this. The Bucks are a team that is up and down. They play up to their competition. As for the Falcons, everyone thought in the offseason that Kirk Cousins was that missing piece. But mid-season to the latter part of the season, Kirk Cousins started to struggle so much that Coach Raheem Morris made a decision. It was time to go to the much maligned when he was selected first-round pick quarterback out of the University of Washington, Michael Penix Jr. And through 2 starts, he has not made Coach Morris' decision look wrong. The big question is in the offseason, do the Falcons move on from Kirk Cousins and turn over the reins full-time to Michael Penix Jr.? But that is the scenario in the NFC. Now, let's take a look at the games this week, family. All right, as you can see, courtesy of NFL.com, Cleveland is at Baltimore, Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. That's a Saturday game. That game will be at 7 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Also Saturday, that Cleveland-Baltimore game will be on ESPN. So we will know what exactly is going on in the AFC North, Then Sunday, 12 noon, anxiety starts to rise in the ATL as the Falcons host those pesky Carolina Panthers. How fitting would it be for the Panthers to just go win the ATL and crush the Falcons' glimmer of hope of making the playoffs by upsetting them? Also, in Big D, it's the Cowboys hosting the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are in. They're in the playoffs. So how many of their starters will we see for that game? In the NFC North, it will be the Bears taking on the Packers. The 4-12 Bears. Caleb Williams, the #1 overall pick in this year's draft, has looked like a rookie in that time. He's looked like the guy that this team needs. But for this young man to be successful, this Bears organization must get their act together, and they must surround this young man with the necessary talent and complementary players and playmakers that he's going to need on both sides of the ball. Then you got Jacksonville taking on Indy. Both of these teams are eliminated from the playoffs. In Jacksonville, will they be looking for a new head coach this season? Indy, are they happy with Anthony Richardson? Or will they go back into the quarterback market in the 2025 NFL draft? Will they go out, let's say, will they throw a bag at a Kirk Cousins? Will they go after a Sam Darnold? Who knows? Time will tell, family. Then you have the Buffalo Bills traveling to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. Even without Josh Allen playing this game. The Buffalo Bills should handle their business, and the Bills should get the job done. Now, word came out yesterday that Saquon Barkley will not be playing this Sunday when the Eagles host the New York Giants, which I, for one, do not like. I understand protecting yourself against any major injuries. You got the playoffs coming up. But this young man is on the cusp of making history. He is on cusp of breaking one of the longest standing records in the National Football League. He's one of only 9 players to ever rush for 2,000 yards, and he has the chance to pass the great Eric Dickerson and become number 1 in that category as the single season rushing leader of all time in the National Football League. I, for one, would like to see this young man go after that. Also, in the NFC South, again, simple for Tampa Bay. Win and you're in. Tampa's been on the road these last 3 weeks. They have been steamrolling teams. They are playing an injury-plagued New Orleans Saints team, a team with no direction, a team that has an interim coach, a team that doesn't know its future yet. So with that being said, Tampa shall handle their business, and the Bucs shall march all over the Saints. Then you got Houston against Tennessee. How the Texans season's been gone, it wouldn't surprise me if the Titans pull the upset and the Texans limp into the playoff with a 9-8 record. Again, if you're one of the top seeded teams, if you're one of those wild card teams, you would love to draw the Texans. No disrespect to the Texans at all. Y'all know how I feel about CJ Stroud, but he struggled this year. This team has struggled. They have not looked good coming down the stretch. Expectations are different. Last year, there were no expectations. This year, there were expectations. And now, this year, they have not lived up or they have not been able to live up to expectations. But hey, they have made the playoff back-to-back seasons. So can they finish strong? Can they get 10 wins? Can they get 10 wins? Can they get another 10-win season? We shall see. Then San Francisco taking on Arizona. Arizona, out of the playoffs, has no one to blame but themselves. They were in charge of their own destiny. They fumbled the ball. They dropped the ball. They couldn't get the job done. As for San Francisco, this is a lesson, and this is a message for every team around the NFL. But I'm specifically talking about the top-tier teams. When your window of opportunity is open to make it to the Super Bowl and get the opportunity to horse that Lombardi, you better take full advantage of it. The San Francisco 49ers are now the model child of that. The window, my friend, it's not just shut, it's nailed shut. It is over. The San Francisco 49ers will have some big decisions to make in the offseason. Number 1, what do they do with quarterback Brock Purdy? Does Brock Purdy come back to the San Francisco 49ers? Or does he move on? Will Deebo Samuels be back? Who knows? All this will be answered in the 2025 offseason. And then Kansas City against Denver. Will Mahomes play? He might not. Chances are he won't. But the Chiefs locked in, number 1 seed. Broncos fighting, scratching, trying to get that final spot in the AFC playoffs. They have to win, because if they don't, the Steelers are there. And those Cincinnati Bengals are lurking, the team that they lost to last week in a game that was a thriller. One of the best games of the season. And I'm going to say it once again. That catch that Marvin Mims Jr. made at the end of regulation was simply amazing, simply marvelous. Cincinnati and Denver. And the Miami Dolphins, that's right, the Dolphins are there fighting on the outside looking in, but they need a whole lot of scenarios to happen for them to make the playoffs. And one might say, does it really matter if the Dolphins make it? Because we know if they're playing cold weather, they're not going to respond well. They want to break that narrative, but first they have to win to get in. You got Seattle taking on the team that, in my estimate, nobody in the NFC wants to play. Nobody in the NFC wants to play the Los Angeles Rams, because unlike these other teams, the Los Angeles Rams are getting healthy at the right time. Coach McVay's been to the mountaintop. Matthew Stafford's been to the mountaintop. Cooper Kupp's been to the mountaintop. They have experience. They have youth. They have talent. The Los Angeles Rams are a very scary team. And if a wild card team is to advance to the Super Bowl, I'm putting my money on the LA Rams. Then you got the Chargers taking on the Raiders. Chargers, you're in. Raiders. Raider Nation, like, don't mess it up. Y'all won last week. Don't mess up our draft position anymore. It's just one game. But for those guys out there who are practicing, who have gone through, who have sweated, who lost blood, who played with all kind of injuries unimaginary to us, everyday folk who are not highly top physical athletes as these young men are, they want to win. They want to close the season on the right track. But a win doesn't improve their draft stock. A loss may. Then it's the most disappointing team in the National Football League. One of them, if not the most, the New York Jets closing out against the Miami Dolphins. The New York Jets are a disappointment. Aaron Rodgers has overstayed his welcome. It's time for Aaron Rodgers to move on. You are one of the greatest ever to do it. But if this season has proved anything, it has proved the narrative that many have said about Aaron Rodgers is somewhat being true. He's a coach killer. Hell, he's a GM killer. And he's a culture killer. Aaron Rodgers has not elevated the New York Jets. Instead, he's made them go in the opposite direction. A signing that was looked at upon as one that would take this team to the next step, to the next step that was needed to reach the pinnacle of the NFL, the Super Bowl. Because we all felt the Jets had a ready-made defense, a championship caliber defense. But that defense has not been championship caliber all season. And the young playmakers have not been consistent enough. The offensive line has been bad. Aaron Rodgers' play has been up and down, inconsistent, and downright bad at times. His body language, his leadership, he's a selfish player is what many would say. But the New York Jets definitely are one of the most disappointing teams this season, family. All right, family. So let's get back to it. For those last week's scoreboard, of course, you had the Chiefs getting past the Steelers. The Ravens were all over them. You had the Bears. That game was just a snoozer. Chargers did what they were supposed to do, 40-7. They ran all over those guys. They did a great job handling their business in that contest. Let me get this. Let's see. There we go. So the Chargers handled their business 40-7. Go 29-10 on we at. Hold on, fam. Let's see. All right. Give me 1 second. Little technical difficulties. But that ain't going to stop us, baby. We keep rolling. I'm coming on in the NFL. At the Come On In Sports Network. And let's see. We will get it started. Bam. There we go. We're in the building, baby. We ready to go. There we go, baby. There we go. Now we ready to go. All right, let's get back to this scoreboard, baby. What we done? There we go. There we go. Now we ready. We got it right. Finally got it right. All right. The finals from week 17 on the final score. It was Kansas City 29, Pittsburgh 10. Lamar Jackson becomes the all-time leading rusher in the NFL history for quarterbacks as he passes the great Michael Vick. The Bears, the Seahawks. This was a Thursday night game. These are the type of Thursday night games that make everyone say, why are we playing on Thursday night? It was a snoozer, but the Seahawks did what they had to do, but unfortunately, they weren't able to finish. Chargers 40. Patriots 7. Simply put, the Chargers went out, knew what they had to do, and they handled their business. 30-24, one of the most exciting games of the year. The Bengals and the Broncos game was one of the most exciting games of the entire season. And let me just say this. Bo Nix won my respect this season. I wasn't a Bo Nix fan of him in college, or him coming out the draft and early part of the season. But the young man has persevered. He has become better and better, and he went throw for throw with Joe Burrow. He had his team on the cusp of the playoffs. Now, they have to get the job done this weekend, but that game between Cincinnati and Denver was one hell of a game. And once again, that catch by Marvin Mims Jr. At the end of regulation to send it into overtime was simply ridiculous. All right, family. Rams 13-9. This is what I like about the Rams. They can be explosive on offense, but that young defense is now rounding into form, and they can win games like this. They have shown that they can win shootouts. They can win slugfests like this. The Rams are a dangerous team in the NFC playoffs. The Giants. This was my upset special last week, family, on As the NFL Turns. I called it. I just felt like, hey, the Coast will not get the job done. I felt the Giants will prevail. But damn it, I didn't think the Giants would score 45 on the Coast. 45-33, and Joe Flacco started the game because Richardson got hurt in warm-ups. It didn't matter. The Colts defense was just bad, and the Giants straight ball and totally embarrassed the Indianapolis Colts 45-33. What do you have to say about this? Buffalo proved they are legit. The Jets proved they are what their records say they are. They are not a good football team. There are a lot of decisions that have to be made in New York this offseason concerning not only the Giants, but the New York Jets. And it starts with the man under center. The Jaguars were able to get past the Titans 20-13. Will Will Levis be the quarterback for the Titans next year? Or will they be back in the QB market? Let's see. Raiders, Saints. The New Orleans Saints are a team that's in turmoil. They finally got rid of the headache and the mistake that they made in hiring Dennis Allen as the head coach. But they have one more problem, and that's their GM. Shout out to the Raiders' young tight end, phenomenal, unbelievable tight end, and Brock Bowers. The kid is the real deal. He broke Mike Dicker's long-standing record for tight ends. Brock Bowers, the real deal. The Raiders also need a quarterback. Will they go after a veteran, or will they try to make a move in this upcoming April's draft? Tampa Bay against Carolina. I said in the pregame show as the NFL Turns that the Panthers have been pesky. But man, let me tell you this. Since Mike Evans has returned, this team has been on a mission. They have been shellacking everyone. That's why I expect them to do the same thing Sunday. I expect them to walk into Raymond James Stadium, look across the field, and realize that those are not the same New Orleans Saints that they have had to deal with in the previous years, and they should walk through them, and they will. I look for Tampa Bay to win this Sunday and advance to the playoff after defeating Carolina this past week, 48-14. The Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles. Everyone was lifting up Cooper Rush. I still think Cooper Rush has played himself into a potential starting role next season with some organization as a possible bridge quarterback. I'm not saying Cooper Rush is your franchise's quarterback, but a bridge quarterback for a franchise they may want to get. They may draft a young quarterback and have him sit a while before just throwing him to the wolves. But speaking of throwing to the wolves, that's what it was as the Eagles just select the Cowboys 41-7. Miami over Cleveland 20-3. They couldn't win the cold weather. It really wasn't that cold. It was in the 60s, 50s in Cleveland. That's hot. But the Dolphins prevailed 20-3. And one of the top games of last week, the top game of last week. This game finished, the score is 27-25. But if you watch this game early, you saw the Vikings pretty much dominate this game. thus setting up the mega showdown for the NFC North title and the number 1 seed in the NFC this Sunday. That's right. The Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings will be battling, they will be battling for supremacy as the numero uno, number 1 team in the NFC and the number 1 team in the NFC North. I, for one, cannot wait for that game. It could be an NFC Championship game preview. Who knows? Stick around, let's see. But what's crazy about that game, it will be the first time in NFL history that a 14-win team will have to go on the road in the playoff in the wild card round. To me, that rule needs to be changed. If Tampa, in all purposes, it's going to be the loser of the Vikings and Lions going to Tampa. To me, those two should have a home game. You won 14 games in the season. You came down to the last week for playing for your division title and the number 1 seed in the NFC, and your reward for that season is to go on the road in the wild card round. I don't care if the Bucks did win the South. They won the South, they end the playoff good. They should be gone to either Minnesota or Detroit. But they go host, and matter of fact, that's the scariest scenario. Detroit or Minnesota may not make it out the wild card round. So this game has a lot of drama, a lot of things that is surrounding this contest. I again can't wait, family. Can't wait. The Falcons again lost a heartbreak on Sunday Night Football. Once again, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders come out in the second half and ball. The kid is not fandom about anything. Nothing seems to shake this kid. He's just a baller, and Michael Penix Jr., by the way, looks like the real deal. Sunday Night Football. Here it was. Monday Night Football. The Lions over the 49ers, 40-34. The Lions started a little slow, but then they got it together. That Lions offense, simply put, they're one of the best units in the National Football League. My concern for the Lions is their defense and the rash of injuries that they've had, but their defense. I expect the Lions and the Vikings to be a hell of a game. But in the playoff, I think that Lions defense could hurt them. All right, family. I want to thank everybody for joining me for Come On In NFL's The Final Score. I'm Dolph Jackson of the Come On In Sports Network. I want to remind you all to join us for As the NFL Turns each and every Sunday morning at 10:05 a.m. Central Time on YouTube, Twitch, X, and Facebook. John Carlos, PJ, TJ, Zach, Nonfiction, Jeremy, Carlos, Toast, and yours truly as we get you ready for the day's action. Until then, family, take care. And by the way, if your boy Dolph hasn't said it already, Happy New Year to everyone out there. Stay safe, man. And before we get off here, man, let me just send out my thoughts and prayers, man, to my hometown of New Orleans, Louisiana, and to the victims of a senseless, evil, they're calling it terrorist attack that went down today. A loser, a coward, took the life of people, those who were just trying to enjoy themselves and bring in the new year. So our thoughts and prayers go out to them. So with that being said, family, our prayers go out to those who lost loved ones, those who are injured. The Sugar Bowl has been canceled for tonight. It is scheduled. Right now, they are planning on having a game tomorrow night. So the Sugar Bowl will not be played tonight. They have canceled it. They are rescheduling it for tomorrow night. So stay tuned. Local stations, goes ESPN, CNN, all the world news, Fox, ABC, NBC. And for the latest, again, our thoughts and prayers go out to those who lost loved ones and those who are injured. And early reports were there were still victims down there, family, before we even came on to before I recorded this. So it's still an active crime scene down there. So again, our thoughts and prayers go to them. And we will not let evil win, family. Do not let evil win. With that being said, family, enjoy your day. And I'll see everybody live Sunday morning at 10:05 a.m. for As the NFL Turns. And we out.
The Combat is Sports Network.